History is full of odd and weird events, but today, let's look at some of the strange ones. Starting off with the Kentucky meat shower. No, that's not the title of Bonnie Blue's latest video. That is the name of the event that reportedly had meat falling from the sky. In Olympia Springs, Kentucky, USA, on a random morning in 1876, residents reported seeing random chunks of red meat falling from the sky. The pieces of what were believed to be beef were reportedly around 2 to 4 inches long, which, let me tell you, is absolutely huge. People that dared to eat the meat said that the taste was either that of beef, lamb, deer, bear, horse, or human meat. I think the bigger concern here is that why do residents of this town know what human meat tastes like? The only real theory surrounding this bizarre event was that the meat was merely vomited up by vultures flying nearby. How many vultures do you have in Kentucky? Next up, it just gets stranger. The Dancing Plague of 1518. In July of 1518, in the town of Strasbourg, Germany, did I say that right? Probably not. Something bizarre was about to happen. A woman by the name of, wait, what is it? Her started dancing uncontrollably in the street, seemingly without any reason. But then people started to join in. You might think this is a cute story of how some woman got a single town to put their differences aside and dance together, you know, from some Disney film storyline or something. But no, it takes a darker turn. Within a week, approximately 400 people were dancing uncontrollably, dancing in the street, causing chaos. No music playing or anything, just throwing shapes. It appeared that the people dancing were unable to stop, dancing through the entire day and night, eventually leading to deaths from exhaustion or stroke. I mean, yeah, I guess hitting the quan really does have its consequences. Doctors believe that the outbreak may have been caused by mass hysteria and a form of poisoning that is caused by a fungus that grows on rye. But to this day, nobody really knows why it happened. Historians are still mystified by this event. Now, moving on to conflict. The Emu Wars. Yep, those, the flightless birds. The war that involved them. Yeah. In 1932, the Australian government had a bit of a problem. Emus. Once a protected species, this status was relegated to vermin, as these thousands upon thousands of emus had been eating, trampling on, and ultimately destroying a frightening amount of crops throughout the country, slowly destroying the country's agriculture section. Slowly destroying the country's agricultural sector. It's a bit of a pattern in these recent videos where I can't really talk. It's not who she says she is. Who she says she is. Oh my... And ruining the lives of thousands of farmers. Farmers originally took it amongst themselves to arm themselves and stop these emus, but they quickly learned how difficult this could be, with a single bird needing to be hit with bullets several times to take it down. Sometimes that didn't even work. During a drought, approximately 20,000 emus migrated into farming areas, bringing with them the carnage. With farmers appealing to the government for help, the Australian government sent an army of 3 men. Not really sure you can count that as an army. The war officially began on November 2nd, 1932. They attempted to herd the birds into an ambush, but the birds outsmarted them. You really got to look at yourself at that point and maybe reconsider what you're doing. Scattering away in all different directions, making them incredibly hard targets. It was reported in a number of cases that the emus were actually able to survive a number of bullet wounds. Man, we've underestimated emus. Built different for real. The emus started splitting into smaller packs, using the tallest member of the group as a lookout. Genuinely impressed at this point. On November 8th, merely 6 days after the conflict began, the 3 men withdrew. The official report states that around 300 emus were killed in the operation, but it isn't over yet. On November 13th, the team were deployed yet again. I could just imagine them being told this and being sat there like, no again. I can't go back. Not the emus. But by December 10th, the operation was officially over. The commander of the operation claims that his team took down over 986 emus, with over 9,000 rounds of ammunition used. Oh god, that's a weak-ass KD. With a further 2,500 later dying of injury. This figure is highly disputed. The emus continued their war of terror on the farmlands, ultimately winning the war. Until farmers figured out you could just put up barrier fencing to keep them out. That would have saved you a lot of time. Staying on the subject of conflict, Pepsi once had the 6th largest military in the world.
In the world?
Yep, Pepsi, the the drink, or as they're otherwise known, the company that tried to save the world in 2017. In the late 80s, the Soviet Union had a huge love for Pepsi. Soviet or Soviet? I'm in trouble either way. Turns out that love was a real severe one. Their currency at the time would not be accepted by the American company, so they decided, let's make them another offer. In exchange for $3 billion worth of Pepsi products, why do you need that much? Pepsi would receive 17 submarines and several other large naval vessels. Once Pepsi received this fleet, they eventually sold it to a Swedish company that scrapped it. But for a brief time with that fleet, they were officially classed as the 6th largest military on the planet. Now an event that changed the world. 1816, the year without a summer. In 1815, Mount Tambora erupted. In 1815, Mount Tambora erupted, which would go on to be the largest eruption since records began. Being located in Sumbawa in the Indonesian islands, sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly, the detonation of this volcano was reportedly heard up to 900 miles away. The initial eruption reportedly killing 10,000 people. With thick ash rising to the sky and lava traveling out to sea, over the course of the next year, the world was thrown into darkness. Over the following few months, a further 70,000 people would die as a result of hunger and disease brought on by the eruption. The hunger coming from the thick ash covering the sky, completely covering the sun, destroying crops, and ruining harvests. This blockage of the sun for such an extended period of time caused the entire planet's temperature to drop by 3 degrees. Furthermore, the eruption and the ash created a new form of cholera outbreak over Asia, taking out thousands more people. With no summer and freezing temperatures in Europe and world-spread famine, ultimately riots started to break out as people became more and more desperate. The sulfate gases that had risen into the air continued to disturb weather across the earth for a further 3 years. Don't worry, in the UK we haven't had summer for about 12 years, and we're okay. Kind of. But we're gonna end this video with a nice story. We've talked about war and famine. So anyway, Hitler.
Haha. Oh. Sorry.
Hitler was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Wonder why he didn't win. In 1939, Erich Gottfried Brandt, probably not saying that right again, but oh well, a member of the Swedish parliament, had an unusual idea to nominate Adolf Hitler for the Nobel Peace Prize. It's believed that this was merely just a form of satirical critique of the current political situation. The nomination was cancelled, but ultimately it caused a lot of controversy. Couldn't imagine why. Ultimately, no Peace Prize was awarded that year, but the Mustache Man and Elon Musk's personal hero did actually go on to win Time Magazine's Man of the Year in 1938. The magazine gave the explanation that the title is given to those who make an impact, regardless of whether that is positive or negative. Pretty safe to say it was negative. Yeah, I get that, but Hitler? So yeah, that is that. Let me know in the comment section down below what are some of the strangest stories from history that you have heard. As always, thank you so much for watching. I've been harrisonay, and I will see you when I see you.